Good afternoon, everyone. You are welcome. In today's masterclass, we'll focus on a very important aspect of communications and public relations, and we'll look at how you can get people to come to attend your event. So this is not about people signing up, but it's also about how people can sign up and actually come and be part of the discussion or whatever event you're attending. This can be something like a training, it can be a workshop, it can be a conference, it can be a symposium, name it. And of course, as communications professionals or somebody who is in the field of public relations or organizing events, the first thing you are supposed to do is effective planning. An impactful and well attended event needs proper planning. So always you need to take about 20 minutes during your events planning to think about who you need, what your aims for the event are, and then walk through the steps that will help you see where your timings will land you. Or, of course, if there's an immovable launch point, walk back from there to see what is manageable in the time that you have towards the event. And then, while you're doing this effective planning, there are some primary questions that you need to ask yourself. And one of these questions include, who do we want to actually attend the event? Are you interested in young people? Are you interested in women? Are you interested in students? Are you interested in people who are in the working class? Do you want donors to actually attend your event? Who do you want to attend your event? This is the first key question you ask yourself to ensure that your planning is on point. And the next thing is the why question. You need to learn about how these people can contribute towards your event. For instance, learn about how they can support women in science, technology, engineering, and mathematics. Probably you want them to learn about hack ideas for the sustainable development goals. And then the other question you ask yourself is, what does success look like for this event? For instance, at the end of the event, what is your goal? Is it that you only want 500 people to attend? Or you want to see that at the end of the event, people are able to make pledges and people are able to make good decisions towards the cause for which the event was organized for. And the last question you ask yourself is, how does this event connect to the overall goal, or how does success for this event connect to the overall goal? So, are you looking at amplifying youth voices? Do you want to strengthen youth civil society? What exactly is the goal, and how does the success of the event connect to the overall goals that you have for the event? And some secondary questions that you can ask yourself. The first section we looked at were primary questions that can help you move forward in your effective event planning. So the secondary questions you can ask yourself include, how can I reach my target audience? Of course, you already answered the primary question, who do we want to attend? So these people that you want to attend become your audience. Then if you already know who they are, then the next question is, how can you actually reach them? You see that? So that means you need to ask yourself, where in the world are these people? Do they use Facebook? Are they on Twitter? Are they on TikTok? And if they're on these platforms, and probably you are an organization and you already have presence in this platform, then you ask yourself, do these people follow us already? Or they are a cold audience? Can they afford to attend a Zoom event, for instance, if the event is to be held on Zoom? The question is, do you think these people can afford to attend a Zoom meeting? Do you think they can afford to buy data? Do you think where they're staying, there's good internet connectivity? Or if it is a physical event, do you think they can afford transport from the various locations to the location of the event? Or even is the event located in a good situation, in a good location, or in a central location that a lot of people within that locality where the event is organized can actually come to attend? Another secondary question that you ask yourself is, who or what do I need in order to achieve my aims? Yeah. So, because definitely For you to ensure that there's effective planning and at the end you are able to achieve success, you ask yourself, do I need to work with other people, or do I need to onboard people in my team for me to achieve success? Probably, let's say you might need a registration form. Like if it is something that you want to ensure that you stay in constant contact with the people who are going to benefit from it, then ensure that you make something like a form. If you are in need of donors to actually attend your event, and then you might need to find the donor contacts, and then you need to do social media promotion. You need to do actual mainstream media promotion. Probably this includes radio talk shows, or interview snippets, or writing blogs. So effective planning is key, and this is one thing that you need to think about for you to achieve success for your event. Another thing that you might want to look at is also the framing and promotion of the event. For instance, of course, you need to offer something for this target audience. You need to answer the central question again. What is in for them? Why should they come? Because this is one thing that the person asks themselves before they can come to your event. They, of course, ask themselves, what do I gain from the event if I am to attend? Is there a transport reimbursement? Are there t-shirts going to be given? Are there experts that I'm going to learn from? Am I going to connect with a large group of audience? So this is one key thing that the person can ask themselves before they come. Also, you ask yourself, what is in for your target audience? How are they going to benefit should they come for your event? So you, for instance, you could say something like, come to our event about climate change. And another person would say, are you a young person? Do you want to join other young people to learn about the impact of climate change in your country and how to tackle it? So you see, these are two different messages. So another one in this screenshot, you could see, you can see here that we have something like youth livelihoods, green jobs, future climate policies, and COP26, youth responses and climate activism. Sign up for the panel discussion on young people, climate disruption, and adaptation in Africa to find out about this. So here, someone knows that there are a lot of learning opportunities that they are going to gain should they sign up for the event. And also the same thing happens here. So the person will be able to connect with other young people and they learn. So two things they will gain from the what? From the event. So we should be very, very careful about our promotions if we have to gain a lot of people to come for the event. Ensure that your framing and promotion is in point, and you should clearly state what is in for the audience, and that helps them answer the question that they usually ask themselves: why should they come for this event? Another key thing is you need to be very, very strategic. Be very, very strategic. Be very strategic, and make sure that you use proper images, you use good gifts, and you need to use good hashtags, like uh, highlighting issues to do with key international moments. You could also look for trending hashtags. You could, and then you need to ensure that you maintain consistency. Because with social media, if you are not consistent, then people tend to give up in the cause. So, but if you are consistent, if you push for what you really want, it becomes an easygoing job for you. So we should be very strategic in the way in which we push for the attendance at this event. Of course, like we mentioned earlier, you need to ensure that your audience, for instance, you ask yourself, like I mentioned earlier, ask yourself, are they already following you? Which channels are this audience following you? If not, you need to design a custom target audience. And then you need to have a budget, probably for your promotion. Whether you want organic, you want to reach your audience organically, or probably you want something like targeted ads. You might want to run an ad on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram, and then you want to test and optimize your promotion and see how it actually goes. And another one is you might want to check with your timings, ensure that you schedule your timing so that your content goes at the appropriate times. You might also want to look at the scheduling and ensure that series of posts are able to go at different intervals. So this is actually key to ensuring that we're able to achieve our event marketing goals. So let's look at a promotional email, for example. If you're writing your promotional email, this is how it should look like. One, the subject should look like something like this. Do you want to hack ideas for the global goals? Maybe let's say your event is about the global goals. So you would put an intriguing subject line like this. So this already puts a question that lingers in the head of the target audience if this was an email campaign. And then in this already images, you could also use images, and this is very important. And the next thing is you need to put a personalized salutation to ensure that the target audience feels that this is something that was truly sent for them. And then you move forward to including now the key information. And the key information should come immediately. You shouldn't include things like I greet you or I do this. No, just go straight to the point. Join us for an exciting Youth Power event on Tuesday, 23rd May, 9 a.m. Juba time on Zoom. Straightforward. You have included the key information. And now put what is in for the target audience. Why should they join? If they join, how would they benefit from the program? You would then tell them, join other young activists to hack ideas for the global sustainable goals. And then you need to now put a clear call to action button. Call to action button, always get someone to proofread. Of course, if it is mass emails, people should be able to proofread. And then you would say, we will cover the cost of your data and support you through the hack process on the day. You will meet other young activists and learn new skills. So the email should be very short, straightforward, and to the point, so that at the end, someone knows that this is business and you have gone straight to the point. So when the email is long, it becomes too much detailed and people cannot easily capture the information or the message that you are trying to pass. So ensure that you are brief and to the point so that the message is actually gotten. Yes, so in the sign up information, you could use some of these following options. One of the option is you can share the Zoom link itself. This can be very easy for the organizer. No way of knowing who will come, no way of warming them up. So when we share Zoom link, like the one for this session today, we just share the Zoom link. So it's crazy because we will not know who is actually going to come to the event, and we will not prepare ways of how we can warm the target audience up. So it becomes like a guesswork, yeah. And then another way of sharing the sign up is by using Zoom registration. You can set up registration on Zoom, and this is always easy for the organizer. You can customize the fields and you can contact the people who register before the event. And with the Zoom registration, it is less integrated user experience, and of course, it is less likely to consent. And another option is using forms or website registration form. This one gives the user a great experience. They can opt in into other communications, like if you have an email newsletter, there's a lot of warm-up. They can learn about your organization, easy selection. You can, if it is something that you don't target everyone, then you can choose who you actually want to come attend your event. Another way is there's more work for the organizer in terms of getting to download and putting them in the email list and then sending to the target audience. So these are some key, these are some options that we actually use to sign up or to get people to sign up for your event. So of course, another way is always warm the target audience up. Even for physical events, ensure that you know who is coming. And then when you know who is coming, you can easily then warm them up. How do you warm them up? You need to remind them about the event, because sign up alone leads to around 60 to 70% drop off. So when people sign up, sometimes even they forget that they had signed up for a what? They forget that they had signed up for an event. So you find that over 75% of the people will not show up for the event. You see, so that is why it's important that for us to ensure that we encourage huge turn up, or you encourage people to actually turn up for your event, remind them always. So what do? You need to send about you need to send 4 follow-up emails. The first email is, it has to be sent 1 week before the event. 1 week before the event, you can send them, thanks for signing up. You can add them to your calendar. You can ask them to join a WhatsApp group. You can ask them to follow you on social media so that they see what's up about the event. And then in the second email, that is like 2 or 1 day to go to the event, send them another email. Of course, now here you remind them that, hey, the event is tomorrow, or the event is next tomorrow. Here's the joining link if it is an online event, or here's the location. If you face any difficulty with directions, please call this number. And of course, make sure you have the tools needed. And then these tools include, for instance, if it is an online event, you remind them to make sure you buy data. If it is a physical event, make sure you remind them, please come early. Or if there's a pickup place where you have a bus that picks them up and drop them to the event venue, then you ask them to do the same. And of course, you also ask them if they have any questions, so that they can come and ask you the questions, or they can reply to the email with their questions so that you're able to answer them, or you can give them a phone number so they can call, and then you get to answer their question. Another email, that is email 3. The third email now goes on the day of the event. In the morning, as the event starts, then you have to shoot them an email. You say, hey, the event is starting in 5 minutes, or the event is already starting. Here is the link again if it's an online event, or if it is a physical event, you tell them, please come quickly. And of course, you already have a WhatsApp group. You also drop the message in the WhatsApp group so that they are able to join the meeting. So this is very key. And lastly, on the same day of on the day of the event, that is the last email. Now you send them again, hello, let me hope how was the session. You share with them resources, or you can do this even after the event. So these are 4 key emails that you need to send in order to warm the participants up to your event. Remember, if you only end with the sign up, the chances are 75% of the people who register actually drop off. For instance, if you have 100 people who register for the event, then you expect only 25 people to actually show up. 75 people will not show up. So please, even if it is a physical event, always do reminders. Like, you need to have an active person in the communications team. They can call people in the evening before the event. In the morning of the event, you call people, hey, where are you? Are you facing any challenges in coming? So that it's clear who is coming for the event and who is not coming. Next thing is a quick overview of digital communities. This is of an organization called Restless. They have a main newsletter. It has over 30,000 people. And then it has the Youth Collective, is a mailing list, and also is a Facebook group. It has 2,000 emails. It has Climate Activists Network, is a mailing list with 150 emails. It has UK donors, you see. So this is, you build a community like this. So when you build a community like this, then it becomes easy for you to actually contact people at different times. So as someone who is active in communications, ensure that you have spreadsheets of all these different contacts, so that at any point you have an event or something of that sort, you are able to easily reach them by email and even by phone. Yes. So for people who have signed up, this is an email template you could possibly use. You, in the subject, you would say, thanks for signing up to XX event. More info for you. You say, dear this, thanks for registering for our Youth Power event on Tuesday on Zoom. We are happy you are looking forward to joining other young activists to hack ideas for the global goals. Add this event to your calendar. Join the WhatsApp group now to connect with other attendees. Tweet to let others know you are attending the event. Make sure you have Zoom and Moodle downloaded on your laptop or phone. If you have any questions, don't hesitate to contact Youth Power at this organization.org. And just as short as this and brief to the point. So emails like this to people who already received tens of emails should be very brief and straight to the point so that people will capture the real message and what you want. You see, like here, immediately in the first paragraph, we include the key information. And then the secondary information comes immediately after the key information. And like this, of course, be rest assured that people will come for this event. Yes, so of course, you email them and then they have to reach out to you if they need any sort of support. So those are some of the key tips for you in order to actually make people come for your event. And for communications, like we say, consistency is very key for us to achieve a lot of these goals that we want for our communications. Ensure that you are consistent and you need to be very updated. You need to have a proper contacts database and ensure that you also use some of these digital communication tools to help you in your communication efforts. So any questions before we move to the next? Any questions from anyone? You can drop your questions in the chat box, or you will just raise your hand or unmute and then ask your questions. If you have any questions, you can ask, or you can drop your questions in the chat box. If there are no questions, then we will have to proceed. Any questions? Okay, so let us move to the aspect of storytelling, because for us also in this aspect of marketing your event, you also need to ensure that there is proper communication strategy that are actually put in place for us to achieve these our goals. And we need to talk about storytelling. And storytelling is now the process of giving out the narratives, what your organization is doing, what you as an individual is doing, and just being able to sell yourself. And there are a lot of people who are making a living now, or there are a lot of entities that are making a living now because they have mastered the art of storytelling. They can they can tell the stories about themselves, and they can tell the stories about their entities, and they can tell the stories about other people. As a result, they are making a good living out of it. And that means we shouldn't be left out same way. We should ensure that we are also able to master this art of good storytelling. Because if we master it, then we become good storytellers and we get to benefit from our storytelling techniques. So let's talk about why do we tell stories? Why do we tell stories? Of course, we need to tell the stories, one, in order to start conversations. Because when we master the art of storytelling and we begin to tell stories to people, that means we are easy conversation starters. We get to get conversations going and people get to be interested in what we are actually telling them. Another thing that is very important also with the storytelling is being able to educate, because when we tell stories, at the end people get moral lessons at the end of these stories. They get to advocate for issues, if it is sad stories, issues that affect people and things of that sort. That means that they become advocates for good causes. Another thing with the storytelling is it helps connect us, it helps connect people, and it helps connect organizations, it helps connect different entities because of what the story, what message the story is passing. And lastly, stories also change minds. For instance, it can be a very good tool for social behavior change. If if for example somebody gets compromised in this digital age, and then they get to tell people, or somebody gets scammed by a fake business person, or somebody who claims that they actually run a business, and so when you tell them about the reality, about things like that, they become very interested, and then they get to say, oh, that means I can actually do something about this. And they may say, oh, this time when I use digital media platforms, I should be extra careful. I should be cautious about who I engage with so that I do not become a victim of circumstances. So these are very key things, and they all play a part in being important aspects of or benefits of storytelling, or the importance of the stories. So what is a good story? When we talk about a good story should be able to combine the head and the heart. So a story usually plays with people's emotions. So when people listen to stories, they become motivated. Sometimes they become sad. Sometimes they become happy. You see. So that is what we mean by saying that the stories combine both the heart and the head. You see that. And then and then when we talk about stories, they have to be authentic. Stories have to be original. We should not be copycats where we copy other people's stories and we want to make these people's stories ours. Stories have to be very authentic, because when they're authentic, and then we'll be able to achieve the first goal, where we're able to play with people's emotions. And then stories also should be able to inspire your target audience. You should have an audience that is actually inspired by the stories that you tell. And then stories should be timely, and ensure that your stories are also unique. So it's just about being authentic and being what? Unique. That means your story should be very different. You shouldn't, like, say, hear someone else's stories and then later you say, at least your story should have a unique perspective, so that when somebody hears it, the person doesn't feel like they had your story somewhere before. You see that? So this is something key that we should understand, especially as we try to tell good stories that move people to believe in the cause that we are doing. So I mentioned earlier that stories should be able to play with emotions. Now, these emotions include things like sadness, things like anger, things like fear, or even things like hope. Because I mentioned earlier that when you tell these stories, the stories should be able to combine the person's heart and the person's head. So what does this mean? This means that at the end, when somebody listens to the story, or when the story comes to an end, someone should feel sad, someone should feel angry, or someone should be fearful about certain circumstances should they befall them or people that are within their cycle. And sometimes the stories that you tell should be able to give hope. Maybe you are talking to people who are completely devastated, and they really needed to hear something that will raise their spirits. And that is where now these stories that give hope come in. And yes, and sometimes when people feel sad, that means they are sympathetic, and they put themselves in the shoes of people affected by the circumstances that are being told in this story. So the key question now is, how do you tell a story? Or what is the best way to tell a story? We say that stories have several elements. And for you to tell powerful stories, you need to follow the 6-step process. One of the process is the a very clear beginning. And this clear beginning should be very powerful, at least one that inspires someone to continue listening or reading the story. So that means when you do this, you should be very strategic in terms of how you choose to start your story, because starting your story is what inspires your listener or your reader to continue to read your story. Another one is you should ensure that your story has a problem. At least when you tell stories again, ensure that you focus on one character. You shouldn't do generalized stories where you look at huge audiences. It becomes very vague. But then if you choose a character, or if you choose a specific subgroup in a bigger group that you are trying to tell the story, and then there is some sort of connection between the reader and the character that the story is talking about. So that means there should be a problem that this character is facing, or that subset that you have chosen to tell the story about is facing. And of course, that problem usually leads to obstacles that the person is what? That the person or people are facing. And then after that, there should be a power. So there should be something that came in that helped these people to overcome this obstacle, or the character in the story to overcome this action, this obstacle. So when they obtained this power, definitely they took an action. So after they took the action, there was a change that happened. So this is how you tell good stories, especially in your personal work. And this sometimes is what is called the success stories. And this is what the people that you work with will be very interested in reading: the beginning, the problem, the obstacle, the power, the action, as well as the change that has happened as a result of the action that was taken in this story. So you already know how to tell a story, but then the next key question is, where can you tell your story? If you are an organization, one thing is you need to have a proper website. So the website can help you tell your stories by publishing blogs or news updates or project updates, so that the people you work with, your target audience, the different stakeholders that are affected by your work, are able to see what's up in terms of what you're doing as an organization. And then, if your website does not allow you to publish your stories directly, another way is you can use blogging sites. If you attended our session last weekend, we talked about blogging sites like Blogger. We talked about Blogger, and we say that Blogger is one of Google's productivity tools. When you come here, you will find Blogger here. So you go to blogger.com. So when you go to blogger.com, you can choose a theme that then helps you publish your blogs. And this is one place where you can actually tell your stories, and people can be inspired by your stories, and it can even bring good gigs for you. So Blogger is one place where you can tell your stories. Another place where you can tell your stories is medium.com. The Medium is a micro blogging site, just like Blogger. It's easier to set up. It's not like a Blogger where you have to choose a lot of themes. It's simple. So you set up your account, and then you will see this right button. And this right button is where you get to start writing. You get to start writing, and this is where you get to tell your stories to different stakeholders or different people. So, yes, the Blogger is the place where you can also publish your articles. When you come to blogger.com, this is its interface. When you set up your account, you will see this right button, and in this right button is where you can start writing. You see, when I click write, and it tells me, it's just like how you publish on any other website, but this is pretty straightforward and it's non-technical. Even if you don't have a web publishing background, you can easily publish this after 30 minutes or 15 minutes training. Yes, so this is where one place where you can tell your stories. Another good place where you can tell your stories is Substack. The Substack, it's also another good platform. It's an email. It's also a microblogging platform where you can create your account. After creating your account, when you create your account, of course, you choose your interest. I'm interested in climate. Probably I'm interested in tech. I'm interested in health and wellness. I'm interested in education. And then I continue. So once I continue, then I choose. Then they give you some writers that you might want to follow. Probably if I don't want, then I can unselect them. Then let's say I will choose this, and then I will choose this, and then I continue. Then I put my email address, and then I set it up. So this is how you set up Substack. After setting up, then you can easily start writing and publishing your work. So when you publish, when you reach a certain number of subscribers, Substack is actually good. They can start paying you, and you can actually make money for your work that you publish on Substack. So this is one good way to start if you are actually looking at a good place to start publishing. Another one that you can publish at is Write.as. So write.as, it's also a good place where you can write. This is the link. I'm dropping it in the chat box. You can check it out at your free time, but it's a good place where you can actually publish your write-up for free. You don't, yeah, the free, you can write a blog and easily publish without distractions. It has a plain editor. Yeah, you just click start a blog, and then yeah, start a blog. You choose your plan. You want to sign up for free. Yes, so you can, yeah, you can start a blog and then publish for free. So it's very clean, and you will not face a lot of challenges when you are, yes, we, and then you can write from here. Another one that that I wanted to take you through is called vocal.media. So vocal.media is also a good place where you can tell your stories. You can sign up and then begin telling your stories from vocal.media. So this is the link, vocal.media, and you can start telling your stories from there. So these are key places where you can actually start telling your stories as an individual or even as a non-profit entity. So let's move forward from here. Another one is you can also use newsletters, or you can do printed magazines. So for newsletters, there are some good tools that you can check from. This is a list of 16 tools that is compiled by Email Tester, and I actually recommend some of the top tools they mentioned here because they are good. They can do the job that we want. And these tools include this include the first tool we have here is ConvertKit. So ConvertKit takes about 10,000 subscribers. It has unlimited emails and landing pages. You can sell digital products and subscriptions. You can do tailored newspaper to creators and bloggers. The free plan comes with unlimited emails, landing pages, and forms, and it lets you sell digital products. But it only includes one visual automation, one email sequence, and requires you to display other recommended newsletters as part of its creator network. We have MailerLite. MailerLite is good. It gives you 1,000 subscribers and 12,000 emails per month. And then we have Sender. Sender gives you 2,500 subscribers and emails per month. We have Brevo, gives you 100,000 subscribers, 9,000 emails per month. We have Zoho, 6,000 emails per month and 2,000 contacts. And we have Smart Mail, gives you 1,000 subscribers and 5,000 emails per month. And we have a couple of them. We have Email Octopus. We use Email Octopus. It gives 2,500 subscribers and 10,000 emails per month, and it gives statistics for 30 days. And yeah, so these are good email marketing tools that you will need to use for you to tell your stories and ensure that you are able to build an email list. And you can build this email list from the attendance that you get at your trainings, from the attendance that you get from your trainings, and from other events that you hold as an organization. Then that gives you an upper hand so that you continue to engage your community in the work that you are doing. So let's move forward with printed magazines. Yeah, you can, if resources allow within your entity, you can print out magazines. It can be monthly, it can be quarterly, that summarizes most of the activities you have been doing, and then you give out to your stakeholders so that they are updated about what's up in terms of what you are doing. And for you to tell good stories, you need to master good interviewing techniques. And we say that a good interview is as much about how you ask questions and your rapport with the interviewee as the questions themselves. So, for you to do this before the interview, ensure that you research your subject thoroughly, understand who they are, what their background are in terms of education, what their experiences are, what have they achieved, and what are some past interviews that they attended. So when you have a better understanding of your subject, then it becomes easy in terms of what questions you really want to ask them based on the circumstances in which you are communicating with them. Another one is then you can arrange an interview date and time with your subject. This should ensure that there's early communication between you and your subject, and then prepare open questions. You should not do closed questions of yes or no, true or false, ensure that the questions are opened to allow the subject to go in depth on the different aspects of the interview. Another one is you can have your consent conversation. Always ask for permission so that the subject allows you to communicate about them or about the subject of the interview. During the interview, then, ensure that you are able to build a rapport. When you build a rapport in interviewing, we're talking about the process of establishing a positive and harmonious relationship between you and your subject. And this means you should be able to build a connection, you should be able to build mutual trust, and you should be able to create an understanding between you and the subject. And when you master this, then you are able to establish a comfortable and engaging atmosphere during the interview, which can lead then to better communication, increased openness, and a more productive exchange of information throughout the interview session. So during the interview again, if you notice that there are some signs of distress or something related, ensure that you stop or you pause, you give the subject time to breathe in. You could ask them if they need time, probably to take a glass of water or to maybe walk out and come back. These are questions you can ask them, probably off the mic, so that they get back to their to their selves, and then you get to move forward with the interview. Of course, be flexible. Also encourage nonverbal communication and use a recorder. This can be a video recorder, it can be an audio recorder, so that you have a copy of the conversation that happened during that time. It can help you in case you want to turn it into a podcast after taking the key segments you are interested in, or you could use it even for better things. Now, after the interview, ensure that you back up the recording. You can back it up offline in another copy of your storage devices, or you can back it online on platforms like Google Drive, OneDrive, or whichever cloud storage that you use, so that you have a copy of your recording. Then you can transcribe it. You can write down a text transcript, You can clarify things that you're unsure of with the interviewee. You can call them, you just do follow-up or seek clarification about certain things that they had said during the interview. Now, while you do this, there are important aspects, and one of these is safeguarding, because all of you know that the stories are personal. So when we try to tell these stories, we should be mindful to not look out for sensitive personal information that the contributor has shared while sharing their story. And we should ensure that while we do this, these stories of these subjects can also relate to incidences that carry stigma within a community or incidents that have been very traumatic to the storyteller. So we should be vigilant as storytellers so that we are able, because sometimes the interviewee may not realize that something they have shared carries some safeguarding risk. So it is now our responsibility to ensure that we are able to identify these components, this sensitive personal information that the interviewee said during the course of the interview, so that we don't inflict more harm and we do the do no harm policy. So, what are some of the risks? Some of the risks of sharing details of your subject stories with the world. Of course, we have issues to do with name change, issues, location anonymity, no photos published, and even not publishing the interview at all. So in the anonymity triangle, we looked at issues of like the face of the person. Sometimes when you're publishing the story, you might need to blur the face of the subject, and also you might need to tell, you might not need to expose the location of the person, or you might need to use a pseudonym of the person. You might not need to use the real name of the person while telling this story. So these are key aspects of safeguarding when we tell stories or when we practice the art of storytelling. Again, very important, the aspect of consent. We say that we should have a conversation with the subject about the piece. We should explain to them to know what their story is or what you actually want to do with it and where it might be seen. Yeah, so these are key things you need to explain to your subject. Tell them what you want to know. Tell them that you want to know their story or why you want to know their story. Tell them what you want to do with their story and where their story will be published. Are you going to publish the audio? Are you going to publish the written? And where will it be published? Or where might it be seen? And then you can even make them sign a consent form, signaling that they are participating in the interview from an informed perspective, so that when anything comes up later, or when legal precautions or when legal actions are taken against you or your organization, you already have a safer hand because there's a consent form that was signed before participating in the interview. Now, look at the aspect of social media. So how are you supposed to use the different social media platforms? And one, this is Twitter, this is Instagram on this side. So when you do this, one, make sure that you see here there's detailed description. There's a cover photo, there's a profile photo, there's a clear name, there's a clear username, and here there's a clear description or a bio for the profile. There's a link, the location, there's the date, the followers, and you see there are even pinned tweets. The same thing with the Instagram account. So ensure that the social media profile is set up properly right from the start in terms of what a new visitor will see when they click on your profile. It should be something detailed so that they don't have questions that remain lingering on their heads. Now, with Instagram, Instagram is all about real images and visuals, and it is the best platform to highlight personal success stories, pictures of volunteers or community members, like real moments, like real moments should all go there. You can use Linktree or other similar platforms to drive traffic to your website. Yeah, so you could summarize all other links to your websites and other platforms that you use, put them in Linktree, and then people can click on the link tree and go to your site so that they get more details about these stories. You can also share Instagram stories, the stories that you see in these cycles. These are Instagram stories. Ensure that you are consistent. Make sure that you are consistent in terms of the frequency of sharing comments. Where possible, reply to comments. You could even, these days, there's something called Reels. You can publish Reels. Now, when you're on X, ensure that one, it is used to engage with trends using hashtags. So hashtags are very, very important when you use X. Before you post, you need to do a quick research, a quick hashtag research to see what is trending and what will help you gain traction. Because when you're posting, you should post along the line of what is actually trending at the time you are sharing that conversation. You can use the art to connect with people and organizations. Of course, don't forget to add relevant people in your tweets. You can do this in the comments too if you run out of space. You can ask questions or you can do polls. And these polls help you a lot to gain relevance or to have conversations with your followers so that you know whether you are really being followed or you are being followed by cold followers who are not contributing to the mission and goal of the organization. Facebook. On Facebook, you can share longer stories with quotes. Facebook has a very long character limit, so you can write a lot. You can write just like even website stories. When you are covering important events, you can go live. You can do live broadcasts either using your phone or digital cameras. Also, remember to share short 30 seconds and simple videos, and they can do best. Ensure that you do a variety of content. This means you need to share videos, you share photos, and you also share text because this is very, very helpful for people who are in your target audience list. Another important aspect is ensure that you are able to do this, like collaboration. So with this collaboration, you can ensure people who are within similar causes, or if it is collaborative projects, or if people who are taking part in activities, they can share content, they can tag your organization, and that becomes something really good. Yeah, so you can collaborate on Twitter, you can collaborate on Facebook, and you can collaborate on Instagram. So, what are some of the key aspects of writing for social media accurately? So, when you're writing for social media, one, use emojis. You can use emojis where necessary and always use relevant emojis. Don't use emojis that are out of context. You can end with a call to action, like here, for instance, join tagal sino ay kubo kubo